These are the lands where my people lived before you whites first came. The proposition that you were a peaceable people before the appearance of the white man is the most fanciful legend of all. You were killing each other for hundreds of moons before the first whites set foot on this continent. You conquered those tribes lusting for their game and their lands, just as we have now conquered you for no less noble a cause. This is your story of my people. This is the truth, not legend. Now these lands belong to Ben and Jerry, and we intend to use these lands to make mediocre ice cream. Now, Crazy Horse has surrendered. So too has Prancing Goat and Diabetic Sheep. Crazy Horse surrendered on condition that we honor his name with the creation of a new flavor ice cream, Crazy Horseradish. You should try some. Do not speak to me of ice cream! I suppose we could make a flavor for you too. I have had my say with you. And I have had my say with you. Then we will have a fight. An ice cream fight? No, a proper fight. So be it.
This year has been the year of the chef's kiss backfire for woke companies. Obviously, you'd have to be under a rock to have not noticed the backlash against Bud Light, which started back in March and is still raging now in July and has a strong chance to carry through to the football season. If it gets through July into August, Bud Light sales will drop even further because it usually sees a spike around football season. And if it can't recover by then, it's going to be one of the best victories for regular folks in a long time. Then you saw Ben and Jerry's get involved back on the 4th of July, talking about how they, America sucks, which is, the country that made their company great, the country that, made them multimillionaires. America sucks. This is very common for woke idiots. Now they said, hey, America should give back Mount Rushmore to the Indians they stole from. Guess what's happening now? The Native American tribe that previously owned the land where Ben and Jerry's factory is being held or is now demanding Ben and Jerry's. It's so amazing. I love it every conceivable way. There's like 20 different topics I want to cover today, and I'm going to cover them all on my live stream. So if you're watching this video, there'll be a link in the description and pinned comment to my live stream over on Rumble. After you watch the video, please do come and join me there. I would absolutely love to hit 5,000 concurrent viewers each day this week. I can't do it without you, so I'm hoping that you'll come join me over on Rumble every single day from noon to 2. Ben & Jerry is accused of hypocrisy for calling on the United States to hand over stolen indigenous land when its headquarters sits on Native American soil in Vermont, as local chief now calls for woke ice cream company to engage in talks. How are they going to get out of this one? This is an incredible pickle. Like, how are you getting out of this if you're Ben and Jerry's? You just ignore it? I suspect that's the only way. That's the only way that they can do it, right? They just have to ignore it. I can't think of another. I mean, what's the out here? So now, a Native American chief in Vermont has called out Ben and Jerry's for having its headquarters on indigenous land. The ice cream company has received backlash after they tweeted out on the 4th of July, calling for the United States to return to indigenous land. Now, Don Stevens, chief of Nulhagen Band of the Kusuk Abnaki Nation, Kusuk Abnaki, sorry if I'm saying that incorrect, has told the New York Post that the land the company built their headquarters on is in fact on native land. Stevens said, if you look up Abnaki, traditional way of being, we are place-based people. Before recognized tribes in the state, we were the ones who were here in this place. Stephen also said he looks forward to any kind of correspondence with the brand to see how they can better benefit indigenous people. I mean, this is great. So here's what's going to end up happening. Ben and Jerry's is going to have to pay this tribe of, 11 people, I suspect, millions and millions and millions of dollars now. Because, I don't see any other way out of this. They get their bluff called. This is this is great. Finally, these woke companies are getting, that's why it's virtue signaling. It's all a bluff. It's slacktivism. I want to do a tweet I don't want to get off my rear end. I want to tell everyone else. I want everyone else to know how virtuous I am, but I'm not actually going to do anything. I'm just going to change my Instagram bio picture to a black circle for St. Floyd. He continued, humans have a responsibility to take care of the resources in places we have the ability to destroy. Maps detailing the tribes that occupy the Northeast and United States show how the HQ of the company in South Burlington, Vermont is in fact on native territory. The Abenaki are a confederacy of Native Americans that merged with other tribes in the 17th century to protect themselves. Descendants of the Abenaki numbered around 8,000 individuals in the earliest 21st century, according to Britannica. Ben & Jerry's was founded by longtime Bernie Sanders allies and Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenwood. Since founding the company in 1987, it has been sold to British multinational Unilever, and it tweeted its message back to 500,000 people. The ice cream owners, of course, suggested that Mount Rushmore should be returned to its original owners. So it's only bad when the U.S. government steals land from Native Americans, apparently. It's totally fine if corporations do it, right? One commenter, of course, compared the statement to Bud Light partnering with Dylan Mulvaney. The tweet then linked to a post on the company's website explaining why America should start with Mount Rushmore and how they support a movement that would dismantle white supremacy and systems of oppression. Jeez. Sounds like Ben and Jerry are pretty white supremacists. Of course, the tweet sparked immediate outrage on social media, with many disgusted customers using the hashtag boycott Ben and Jerry's to slam the message as anti-American sentiment on the day meant to celebrate the United States. Well, yeah. Of course. Of course. And then if you look at this, now you're starting to get hit pieces out. Heart attack pushers Ben and Jerry's hippie Indian land hypocrisy. Way back in the Stone Age, shortly after woolly mammoths disappeared, I was city editor of Albany newspaper while Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield were mixing up exotic ice cream on stolen land across the border in Vermont. The ice cream universe back then was basically vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. There was Hojo's, sure, but you had to drive there. Now these two Long Island expats were marketing high-fat heart attacks in one-pint packages to corner groceries. And they become a local sensation. But they were looking to expand. That required publicity, so one day Ben, or maybe Jerry, showed up in our city room with a styrofoam cooler packed with dry ice and free samples. Tell us about your product research, Jerry, we asked. With guardian words, winks, nods, eye rolls, the secret emerged. The pair hauled felony weight herb into the countryside, lit up, watched the clouds float by, waited for munchy madness, and then improvised. I mean, I don't really care about that. I think it's hilarious. That's a great idea for coming up with ice cream flavors. Thus was inspired many of us, so many flavors. Heath Bar Crunch, the concoction that almost ended the partnership. They had argued bitterly over whether big chunks of the candy bar should be folded into the mix or small chunks. Imagine the drama. Eventually, the obvious compromise was achieved. Both big and little went into the blend, and Ben and Jerry's ice cream empire was born. Now, maybe some of that true heavy herb use was said to damage the brain, and this might explain Ben and Jerry's Twitter feed. But I didn't believe a word of it. Faux hippie shtick that it was. Then again, I was only there for the free ice cream, which was really, really good. Decades past, Ben and Jerry are still belting out the bourgeois. By now, anybody who cares knows all about the obnoxious birthday greetings to America that popped out of the Ben and Jerry's Twitter account a week ago. It's all so tiresome. Land-grabbing humans have been cracking each other over the head since the species evolved, and this includes indigenous Americans, who in their day were among the most fearsome land-grabbing headcrackers to ever walk the planet. And just why contemporary America is held exclusively to that account for a project begun by the English, French, Spanish, Dutch more than 500 years ago is a mystery. The United States is not perfect, and it can be quite willful that way. But, I mean, ultimately you end up this whole hilarious, nobody's forcing anyone to eat anything for sure, but Ben & Jerry's has no grounds for moral preening. Plus, there's this. Ben & Jerry's made themselves a bundle. They created a premium ice cream industry, basically. God bless them. Then they sold out, emphasis on sold out, to Unilever, international conglomerate with a market valuation of $130 billion as of Friday, for a cool $326 million in cash, and used some of the proceeds to support the Occupy Wall Street demonstration in 2011. Can you spell hypocrite, boys? I sure miss Cherry Garcia. Some sugar highs are just too expensive. Oh, by the way, Unilever stock down another 50 cents so far today. Oh, it has recovered a little bit. So if you look at the last 5 days since the boycott began, It's down 2.15%. It's back up. Well, it's about even. Let's call it. It's at 0.039%. It's headed back down now. So it'll be interesting to see. You see Ben and Jerry's tasteless propaganda. So now all these hit pieces are rolling out, and they inserted themselves into this conversation. They inserted themselves into the culture war. They could have just shut up and sold their extraordinarily expensive ice cream. But they already sold out, right? Ben and Jerry's got their $300 million. Literally, Ben and Jerry got their $150 million each, and they're gone, right? They're cashed out now. Now, there are things that they protest that I support. For example, Julian Assange, they protest that. But, also the stuff about, Mount Rushmore and telling America to return that is absurd. You see the company itself, Ben & Jerry's website. Today, the people of indigenous heritage in the United States have the same opportunity as anyone else to thrive. Over the course of history, different nations and groups have struggled for land. But if the argument is that Americans should return land to indigenous tribes, then shouldn't all land all over the world be returned to its original owners? That would be impossible. Ben & Jerry's website also discusses the company's involvement in climate change and racial justice. It's comical that an ice cream company discusses how farming chocolate is bad for the environment because it aids deforestation. Many politicians and woke companies talk about climate change, but their actions rarely seem to live up to their words. They only seem to want to instill fear in people in order to control their actions, like using paper straws or having to pay for single-use plastic grocery bags. For example, while Ben & Jerry's claims to offset its role in harvesting cocoa through efforts like planting trees, one would think they might eliminate chocolate as an ingredient in their products overall if they had real, genuine concerns about its contributions to the climate crisis. Then comes the company's effort to preserve, quote, reproductive rights. The fact that something actually comes up when you search the term abortion on the website of an ice cream company is ludicrous. Still, they provide a blog titled, 1 year later, 5 ways the movement to protect reproductive rights continues. Its call to action for rights. One of the 5 steps in the list include fighting to keep abortion pills legal. Finally, under the activism tab, the company lists their progressive values. They write capitalism and wealth it produces does not create opportunity for everyone equally. We recognize that the gap between the rich and the poor is wilder than any time since the 1920s. Conservatives, let's teach Ben & Jerry's a lesson on capitalism. Conservatives have had some recent success telling woke businesses that virtue signaling does not sell to everyone. Conservatives shouldn't support ice cream brands that use their money to spread liberal propaganda. And I agree. We're going to be discussing all of that and more at my live show. Link will be in the description and pinned comment below. 12 to 2 today. Please do. Let's make it a big show this week. Got lots to talk about, and we'll talk to you again, really soon.